Hey y'all, how are you doing? I hope you're well. So I wanted to jump on and talk about two things, which are synchronicity and intuition, and kind of the intuitive process more. So last week I found myself just kind of asking in my meditation that I really wanted to bring in synchronicity and magic because I really felt it a lot at the beginning of summer and kind of through summer. And then as I shared yesterday in my post, life happens and, the fairy dust kind of washes away a little bit. So I had asked for it and then kind of let it go. And then I've had a series of so many synchronicities in the last 3 days. It's quite phenomenal. And I love it. I so appreciate it because to me, synchronicity makes life magical because it's that how everything is kind of woven together in a perfectly orchestrated way, and it really appears as magic. And I do believe that life can really be lived that way. It's just sometimes it's the ebb and flow, as I talked about the other day. Okay, with intuition. So I already was in this space of synchronicity. I'd gone to see just the most amazing talk by Veda Austin. If you don't know her work, I highly encourage you to go check her out. Just beautiful work around water, and it's not just even the consciousness of water. It like what actually is it? And it is so profound. I mean, still an unanswered question, but so profound. If anyway, I was at her talk. And it was, beautiful talk. And at the end, there was a break, and then she was going to come back to do a book signing. And, if people wanted to have a picture and just have a hug with her, which is so kind, so generous. And I was waiting and waiting, but it was getting late, and I kind of wanted to get back before it got dark. But I really wanted to just have a hug with her and say thank you. And so I was standing in the room waiting, and then I was like, should I go now? Should I not? And it was kind of unclear, so I stayed. I just stayed because I had the thought of it would be great if I could just run into her as I'm leaving, so I don't have to wait in a long line, selfishly, because I wanted to leave. And I almost had a moment where I left. I was like, okay, maybe go now. And then these three women that were just ahead, I could see they looked at the time and they clearly didn't want to wait anymore. And so they got up to leave. And I was like, nope, don't go yet. Don't go yet, because then I'll be in the hallway with these three women. And so I waited, and again was just really tuning into my body. It wasn't something that was intellectual. And then for no reason, I just had this kind of impulse to like, okay, it's time to go now. And so I also was like, okay, I let it go. But deep down, I had this feeling I'm going to run into her in the stairwell. And lo and behold, I walk down the hall and down the stairwell, and I'm the only one there, and she comes up the stairs. And for me, it was just such a beautiful, one of those moments of realization that we are in partnership with whatever you want to call it, with life, with consciousness, with source, with God, at the very least with our higher selves, that there was some kind of communication. And I was just listening. I was listening for the cue. And I think that life, to be in that state 100% of the time at this point, even in my life, and I feel like I focus on that a lot and work on it a lot, it's almost impossible to be there 100% of the time. I don't want to say it's impossible, but it's challenging, because the thing is, we have to recognize that we're both human and soul, right? We're of the earth and of the divine, and this is really a partnership. This is a relationship. And so I think for me, it's not always about like, well, I have to stay in that like super connected soul place, because the fact is I'm having a human experience, and there's no judgment around that. We shouldn't be transcending the human experience. If anything, it's about the coherence and the alignment of the soul and the human, but that this is an important experience to be had in this physical form. It's what's giving our soul, our higher self, this physical embodied experience. But what I'm learning is that it's really about the relationship and the conversation. Can I stay open enough? Can I stay in a state of awareness so that I can have that choice, and that I can be in a place of listening and in that conversation, so that, as I'm being guided through life, that I'm not creating any unnecessary obstacles, that kind of get in the way, and just recognizing that I am the vehicle and I have to take care of the vehicle, but trusting that I am being guided. And yesterday was such a beautiful just example of that, of like, I was in conversation, I was listening, I was feeling. You have to be aware and you have to be in tune. You have to feel your body. You have to hear the cues. And it's not like, go now, like we would wish our intuition to be. Normally it's very subtle. And that's why I think we have to slow down enough and be still enough that we hear it, and that we become very familiar with it, that we know, that's my intuition speaking to me. And then over time we learn to trust it. And I mean, I feel like I've been in this conversation consciously for well over 20 years, if not 25, or God knows when it began, and I think we always had it, but when are we consciously aware of it? And it ebbs and flows, sometimes it's like really connected. In other moments, like I wrote however many days ago, I was like, I can't, it's like crickets. I couldn't hear my intuition at all. And, goodness knows what the reason is for that. And I think it's not, about attaching to any one state of being, but just being in that constant flow of, okay, can I be receptive? Can I listen? Can I be in conversation with? Can I trust that part of me? And in the moments where there is radio silence, like, okay, can I be in that as well, without the resistance, without the controlling, without the forcing? And of course, I have the intention to live more and more from that place, because it's beautiful, it's exciting, and it's magical. And I think those moments just bring in that kind of like, oh, this is fun. This is a fun experience, because it's really easy to get into like, well, this is a slog. Sometimes it can really feel like trudging through mud, and it's tiring, especially in these crazy, chaotic times. So I just wanted to share that, because it really is, it's like a process of listening and trusting what we hear. And maybe we don't always get it like, on the bullseye, but practicing that, of just listening, tuning in, because I think it's better to go for the intuitive inclination and kind of miss the mark, rather than after the fact going, damn it, like I wish I had trusted my intuition. I wish I'd listened to it. And what I've heard that I have to say, I think I pretty much agree with this wholeheartedly. I haven't been proven wrong, is that your first thought, I don't even want to call it a thought, the first message that comes in, whether it's felt or sensed or whatever it is, that's your intuition. The processing of that, like the when it gets a little bit more complicated and there's the questioning of this or that, that's the brain, that's the mind, that's kind of trying to come in and rationalize and make a decision from a rational place. But the intuitive is like so subtle. It is that whisper in the wind. And there's so many times where I'm like, can you turn up the volume, please? Can you just make that louder so I really get it? Can you just tell me what to do? But it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. And it just means that we have to attune ourselves, to be more sensitive to those things. And that's a beautiful thing, to be sensitive, like hard in a backwards world where everything is loud and, flashing at you, but actually to be in tune and sensible to your environment is really important, because then that opens up our sensitivity to all things beyond this dimension, right? So I just wanted to share that as kind of like a moment by moment process of what listening to my intuition, looked and felt like. And yeah, if it's helpful, and if it's not, as always, take it or leave it as resonates for you and feels right for you, and loving you from afar. Bye.